drenched in tears, they laid him down in Joseph's tomb, the entrance sealed by heavy stone. Messiah still and all alone. Oh, praise the name of the Lord our God. Oh, praise His name forevermore. For endless days we will sing your praise, O Lord, our God. Then on the third, at break of dawn, the Son of Heaven rose again. Oh, tremble death, where is your sting? The angels roar for Christ the King. And oh, praise the name of the Lord our God. Oh, praise His name forevermore. For endless days we will sing your praise, O Lord, our God. He shall return in robes of white, the blazing sun shall pierce the night, and I will rise among the saints, my gaze transfixed on Jesus' face. Oh, praise the name of the Lord our God. Oh, praise His name forevermore. For endless days we will sing your praise, O Lord, our God. And oh, praise the name of the Lord our God. Oh, praise His name forevermore. For endless days we will sing your praise, O Lord, our God. O Lord, our God.
Okay, my name is Joel Doris. I'm Kendra's dad, and Kendra asked me to share for just a minute, and I just want to share my heart with you young people and challenge you. 40 years ago, I walked across the stage and got my diploma, and I graduated. This is my 40th year. We probably won't be able to have our 40th reunion because of the virus, but I remember 40 years ago, it was plain as day, and there was a story that the speaker went and told that stuck with me, and I've used several times, and I've lived my life by, and I'd like to share that with you and challenge you this evening with this story. There were some ornery boys And these ornery boys went and they heard about a old Indian that lived up on a mountain. And they heard that this Indian was one of the wisest people, smartest people around. And so these three ornery or mean boys, they decided that they was going to go up on this mountain and they was going to prove that this Indian wasn't so smart after all. So they headed up the mountain and they were talking. They said, now how can we go and how can we prove that this Indian's not so smart? As they was going up there, they said, we know what we'll do. Said, we'll catch a bird and we'll put it behind our back. When we get up there, we'll ask him what we've got behind our back and we'll just see how smart this Indian is. Said, so these boys, they caught a bird and said they went and said they climbed the mountain. They got up there to the Indian and they knocked on the door. The Indian came to the door and opened the door, and them boys went and said, hey, said, we heard you're so smart. If you're so smart, can you tell us what we've got behind our back? And this old Indian, he thought for a minute and he looked at it and he looked at the boys and he said, you know what? He said, you got a bird behind your back. And those boys, they were mad because he had guessed right. So they headed back down the mountain. They got down the mountain just a little ways, not very far. And he said, one of the little boys, he told the other one, he said, you know, said he told us we had a bird. Said, but he never told us what kind of bird it was. Said, let's go back up there and we'll ask him, you know, what kind of bird it was. Said, so they headed back up the mountain and said when they got there, they knocked on the door and the Indian came to the door, and as he came to the door, they said, you know what, you're so smart. Said, you told us we had a bird behind our back, but you never told us if that bird, what kind of bird it was. And that Indian thought for a minute and he went and he said, it's a blue jay. And he was right again. This really made the boys mad. He'd guessed that it was a bird and he'd guessed that it was a blue jay. So they headed back down the mountain and they was kicking dirt and they were really mad. Because Indian, he was smart and he had outsmarted them twice now, telling them that it was a bird and telling them it was a blue jay. So they got almost to the bottom and they were talking and one of the boys piped up and he said, you know what? He said, let's go back up there. Said, you know what? He told us that we had a bird and he told us it was a blue jay, but said he never told us if it was alive or dead. Said, we'll go back up there and said, we'll ask him if it's alive or dead. Said, if he says it's alive, said, we'll squeeze it behind our back and we'll kill it. So he'll be wrong. If he says it's dead, we'll just turn it loose and let it fly away and he'll be wrong. So either way, there's no way he can get this one. So they was laughing and they had this smart Indian this time. So they headed back up to the mountain and they got up to the top and they knocked on the door and this Indian came to the door and this Indian came to the door. The boys laughed and they said, you think you're so smart. Said, you know, you told us what we had behind our back, that we had a bird. You told us that the bird was a blue jay, but you know what? You never did tell us if it was alive or dead. Said the old Indian, he looked up and looked around, looked down at the ground, and then he looked those three ornery boys right in the eye, and he went and said something like this. He said, it's all up to you. It's all up to you. And the boys left and went back down the hill, and the Indian had won. He had outsmarted them. And I'll never forget that story 40 years ago at my graduation. And the speaker stood up there, and then he pointed the finger at all of us seniors that were sitting on the stage. And he said, you know what? He said, from this time on, he said, you walk off this stage, you'll be graduates. He said, you know, and what you do, he said, it all is up to you. It's all up to you. You can't go, it's not up to your mom and dad. He said, you're graduating, it's not up to your teachers. He said, you know what? Said, you're leaving this place today. You're graduating from school today and you're going out. And what you do with your life is all up to you. Is all up to you. And I remembered that story down through the years. There was a guy in the Bible by the name of Joshua. Joshua was getting ready to die. He had tried leading the children of Israel through the promised land. And a lot of times the children of Israel, they wanted to do their own thing, and they didn't really want to serve God. And Joshua called them all together, and Joshua looked in the eye, and he kind of told them the same thing. Joshua said, choose you this day who you're going to serve. He said, but as for me and my house, we're going to serve the Lord. And, he told them to choose. He told them to choose. There's three things that I've kind of chose to go and live my life by. First of all, I've chose to live my life personally in a relationship with Jesus Christ, not just hearing about him, but I want him to be my personal Savior, my personal best friend. And I challenge you to go and serve the Lord and to live for him, and to make him your personal Lord. That's what I've challenged Kendra with and all of my kids. Second thing that I've challenged myself with is to go and live for him passionately. Not to do it half-heartedly. That was the thing with the Israelites. They wanted to do their own thing, then they'd want to serve God, and they didn't serve him passionately. The Bible says if we're going to do it with all of our heart. Whatever your hands find to do it with all your might. If you're going to serve Jesus Christ, serve him. That's what Joshua was saying. He said, as for me and my house, we're going to serve the Lord. He was going to do it passionately. He was going to do it passionately. He's going to do it personally. He's going to do it passionately. And then Joshua also was going to do it permanently. He didn't just start the race, but he was going to go and finish it. He was going to do it every day of his life. He was going to do it till he drawed his last breath. It wasn't long after Joshua said, choose you this day who you'll serve. But as for me and my house, we're going to serve the Lord. He was challenged the Israelites. And it wasn't long after that Joshua went and they buried Joshua, and Joshua died. Joshua, if you remember right, was only there's only two people that got to go and see the promised land, and Caleb and Joshua were the two of them. Joshua started. Joshua went and had a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. Joshua served him every day passionately. And Joshua also served him permanently, which he went and he was going to serve him every day. Young people, it's a joy serving Jesus Christ. It's a joy serving Jesus Christ. I have dealt with young people my whole life, and I've served the Lord my whole life, and it is a joy. The Bible said, "In His presence is fullness of joy." I love sitting around and talking about Jesus. I love working in church. I love reading my Bible. Nothing better than serving Jesus Christ. So I want to challenge you in this video. Some of you I've met, and some of you I might meet. But I want to challenge you to serve God, personally as your Lord and Savior. I want to challenge you to serve God passionately, and I want to challenge you to serve God permanently. Don't just start serving God, but serve God the rest of your life. Just like that old Indian said, it's all up to you. It's all up to you. Kendra can go and give you a devotion at the filling station. Your minister could stand up and give you a message. But when you walk out that back door, it's all up to you. You got a choice to make. So I'm going to challenge you to choose to serve Him personally, to serve Him passionately, and to serve Him permanently. All the days of your life. God bless you. And just be nice to Kendra. She's my daughter. And love you all. You guys have a great day.